Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more slug testing, and today we've got another very interesting combo to try out. It's a slug that one of you guys sent to us, and we've already tested it once before with some pretty interesting results. So maybe today's setup might be able to dial them in a little more consistent than what we saw last time. They showed promise when we tested them last, but they might just be pretty limited as they are, so we'll see what we can get. But as for the slugs we got today, big thank you to Adam from Texas for sending some of these over. But we've got some of the Cheddite rifled deer slugs. They're a 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch 1 ounce slug at 1650 feet per second. You can see what those slugs actually look like there on the front of the box. Almost a Brennicky style, but maybe more so like a Winchester deer season type of slug. And they do have a tiny little tail piece as well. It's not necessarily permanently attached, but it is kind of pressed into the back of the cavity of the slug, and that may very well play a role in how they're going to perform through today's setup combo as well. So we'll see what we can get, because these import slugs can definitely get a little squirrely sometimes. But for the setup we're going to run them through, I brought out my Remington 870. It's got a 24-inch Carlson's barrel on it. However, we've got a Carlson's rifle choke tube in here today. I don't think we've tested a rifle choke in 12 gauge yet, so this is definitely going to be pretty interesting to see how it does with these cheaper import style slugs, and it could very well play with the little pressed in tailpiece they have as well. It might stabilize them great, it might completely ruin our accuracy, I don't know just yet. For those interested, Carlson states these have a 1 in 35 twist rifling in them, so not the fastest, but it should be enough to give it a little bit of a spin and potentially stabilize them a little bit more. Up on top is a Hawk Vantage IR 3 to 9x40 with the muzzleloader slug gun straight wall reticle in it. Definitely a nice scope, a lot of eye relief, and yes, it is mounted to the top of the receiver. The barrel is not pinned in any way. I do have all the screws marked so we can make sure nothing comes loose. As for our magazine cap, it's torqued to hand tight plus 3 extra clicks past the hand tight point, and I did score a few witness marks on here as well so we can see if anything comes loose, but it's been perfect so far. It has not moved, nor has anything else on here, so we should have a pretty decent stable combination, and we'll see what these Cheddite slugs can actually do through it. But as for our test today, everything is set up the same as usual. We've got a 50 and 100 yard target, so we're going to shoot 2 groups, one at 50 and another at 100. Each of them are going to be 3 shots each. Might not be a perfect test necessarily, but it's going to give us an idea on if this combo is decent at all in the slightest. And of course, all the shots will be through the chrono as well, so we can be getting our velocities. But let's get you guys a view of those targets, take our shots, and see how these Cheddite slugs actually perform through a rifle choke, and if it helps them out or hurts them, or whatever the case is going to be. So let's take our shots and see what we get. Alright, so let's take a peek through our chronograph numbers real quick before we look at our target. The boss claim is 1650 for these, however, we have not been getting that number from our 24-inch barrel. It's been right about 1500, and that's yet again what we see here, even with a little bit of choke out the end of the barrel this time. For a high, we had 1506. For a low, we had 1496. That gave us an average of 1501 with an extreme spread of 10 and a standard deviation of only 3. So at least they are very consistent when it comes to velocities, and that's the same thing we saw last time as well. But with an average at 1501, that's 149 under their boss claim. I believe last time with a flush choke, we saw 1499 for an average velocity. So really no substantial difference there at all. And they are very consistent again when it comes to velocity. And of course, here are your energy numbers. If you wanted to deer hunt with these or something like that, it would still be plenty good enough, but we are seeing a little bit less than their boss claim for sure. But let's swing around here and take a look at our target, because we definitely saw some pretty interesting results there as well. Alright, so now let's take a peek at our target because we definitely saw some rather interesting results. Now right off the bat, the last time we tested these, we were hitting to the right as well. So I decided to use the right hand target for 50 yards and I was aiming at the left target for 100, so maybe we would hit somewhere in the middle. And you can see our bullet holes down low here and to the right, which we'll get to in a second. But we'll start with this 50-yard group, which is these 3 bullet holes right here. And I don't know how well you can tell on the camera, but especially on this top hole, you can see the small tears in the paper around the edge, so it definitely looks like these were spinning pretty good. At 50 yards our spread was 1.6 inches, so really not too bad for these 3 bullet holes right over here. That's absolutely usable for a 50-yard deer gun or something like that. They were flying stable, punching straight holes through the paper, so you would be fine out to 50. Now out to 100 yards, that's where things got squirrely yet again, and we'll take a look here in a second at our little base wad tail pieces because I think those tell us a story as well. But our 3 shots are 1 bullet hole here, 1 bullet hole right here on the bottom edge of the black target, and let me pan the camera down here, and bingo, there's our 3rd bullet hole right in my target stand. That right there is the 2nd time we tested these shells and the 2nd time I've nailed this target stand. So these shells just don't like me today for whatever reason, but I'll give it to Caldwell. They made a pretty tough target stand. It's been hit with 2 12-gauge slugs and it ain't broke yet. So we had 1, 2, and 3. The top 2 gave us right at 4.26 inches for these 2 right up here on the paper. Obviously, we can add another foot to that down here to this one. And wouldn't you know it, that's exact same thing we saw the last time as well. So I'll pan you guys back up here to the actual target. But these things really seem to get a little bit squirrely and do whatever they want to after that 50-yard distance. And I have a sneaking suspicion that it's one of 2 things or a combination of both. Number 1, as I've said a lot here recently with these slug tests, I think they get a little squirrely right at that supersonic barrier where they go from super to subsonic. It seems like there's been a good variety of slugs that do that exact same thing, where they're good at 50, not good at all at 100. And I believe these are losing their little tail wad piece as well, somewhere right around or after the 50-yard range. And that very well could explain why we're opening up our accuracy like that as well. So let's swing around here and take a look at those tail pieces. And here are the 3 of them that I found. All of these were found right at about 65 to 70 yards. I don't believe they are from the 50-yard groups since my target was shifted a little bit at an angle from there. I believe these came off the 100-yard shots we took, and that would make sense if they're holding their little tail skirts to 50 but losing them past there. That could very well be a reason why we open our accuracy up out there at 100. It just doesn't quite have the stability anymore. To my surprise, you really can't tell that these went through any kind of rifle. I know that's not a lot in that choke, but they're not torn up or anything. Nothing out of the ordinary, nothing different than what we saw last time either, but definitely pretty interesting to see, and I think it's the culprit for our 100-yard accuracy as well. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about those results right there? Really, it didn't seem to make much of a difference between just your stock improved cylinder and a rifle choke. Both of them are about the same. It might have helped our 50-yard group just a little bit. I think we had a 2-inch group or 2.1 or something like that previously, so we might have helped there a little bit, but it still didn't change our 100-yard performance at all. They're still getting squirrely out there, and if I was going to use these slugs, it would probably be for a range day or something like that. Maybe to get a quick 50-yard zero, close enough to get on paper or something with it. If you wanted to hunt with them, you'd be fine to 50, but I don't know that I would push it much farther than that. So now that we've tried these Cheddite slugs through both a smoothbore with an improved cylinder and a smoothbore with a rifled choke, maybe we try them through a rifled barrel as well. I highly doubt that would make any kind of difference, but who knows? I guess you just don't know until you try it. We've been surprised before by some of those results, but when it comes to just your import style slugs that are pretty cheap like these, it really isn't too surprising. Some of them have been good, some of them have been terrible, and I would say these ones are somewhere in the middle. They're fine to 50, but I wouldn't push it any farther than that personally for anything important, that is. And clearly, they don't like target stands out there at 100 yards either, because I've done 2 tests with these and nailed my target stand both times. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Cheddite slugs? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Are these something you would ever use or bother hunting with? And if so, would you just keep it at 50, or would you take the risk all the way out there at 100? Or are these just not something you would use in the first place? And what other slugs do you want to see us test through this combination? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.